Since the announcement of Bleach Rebirth of Souls, we've already had multiple trailers for the game, from character trailers, to the gameplay trailer, to the overall reveal trailer. And we've had all those in a very small amount of time. And it seems the game is taking the Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles route, where we're getting multiple trailers, specifically character trailers regularly, and that really builds up the hype for the game and is great content and entertainment for both content creators and fans alike. But what I and many people didn't realize is that we're going to be getting weekly character trailers, or at least that's what it seems like. Because if you didn't know, last week we got 3 character trailers at once, and I thought after that it's going to be a little minute until we get another trailer, whether it's a character trailer or something else, and that was understandable, right? Because 3 trailers in one, that's cool. But we already got another one, a Byakuya Kuchiki character trailer, and I'm going to break that down in this video, as well as some other stuff regarding the game. But one thing for sure, us Bleach fans are eating good. Now before I get into all that, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and I'm your boy Kaizen. Let's get straight into it. Now I will be playing the trailer in the background, but of course I'm going to be breaking down all the little things that they mentioned in this trailer, like the different moves and whatnot. So firstly, it starts off with a little cinematic Senbon Sakura, and then it shows Byakuya and some writing. Of course, it seems that all of these character trailers are following the same format, a little description of different things. This one starts off saying, Captain of Squad 6. A tactician who adapts his fighting style depending on the situation and uses Senbon Sakura to cut down his enemies. Now I was quite surprised that we got a Byakuya trailer, because we've already seen a very in-depth gameplay video of him versus Ichigo, but I guess because it's not a character trailer and it seems that they're first doing all the character trailers for characters we've already seen, such as, you know, the other 3 characters that they already did trailers for. And by the way, my breakdown of those character trailers will be at the end of this video. But yeah, I guess they're going through all those characters first. So now we're getting Byakuya. We'll probably get Renji or Yoruichi next, something like that, or probably Chad. Renji and Chad next, and then Yoruichi and Kisuke and Orihime, because they had like little glimpses in their reveal trailer, but not true reveals like the others. So yeah, it then goes on to talk about Byakuya's signature move like the others, and I'll just read it out for you. Signature move, Senbon Sakura Seal and Release. And this is a very interesting move compared to the other characters, because this is something where he's basically switching modes. It says, a technique that switches between seal and release forms that when used properly will maintain a distance advantage over Byakuya's opponent. So basically he can change between his sword form, and you should be able to see the gameplay there, the sword form, and then the released like petals form. So I guess that's like closer range to mid close range or something. And I'm not sure how that will affect damage and stuff like that, but you can at least see the visuals. They then very quickly move on to his spiritual pressure move, the first move, which is release Senbon Sakura / seal Senbon Sakura. So I guess that's going on to the different attacks, whether you're in release mode or not. And it says, attacking from all directions with an invisible blade. The technique changes depending on the form Senbon Sakura is activated in. In the released form, it draws in the opponent, while in the sealed form, it blows the opponent away. So I guess when you have the petals active, it brings your opponent closer. But of course, the petals do have more range compared to just using the normal sword form, so that's worth mentioning. Then we go into his second spiritual pressure move, and that is That Won't Touch Me. An interesting name, but whatever, I guess it sounds better in Japanese. And for the description it says, can block your opponent's attack, followed up by a counter attack with the Kido ability Sokatsui. And as you can see in the gameplay, it shows obviously Byakuya blocking Ichigo's slash, and there's like a little freeze frame or maybe like a slow-mo, I'm pretty sure that's part of it, and Byakuya glows, and then he does his counter attack, of course, the Kido move, and it's a very good knockback move. So if you're trying to make some distance between you and your opponent, this would be a great move. And of course it's a counter when you're being attacked. Great for when your opponent's trying to put the pressure on you. Then of course we get the little like crazy freeze frame of Byakuya after getting hit, and it says Reverse Fate, and I'm pretty sure this is his Bankai, and that's his awakening move, by the way. His Shikai seems to be his reverse gauge activation or whatever, but this is his Bankai, and they didn't really go over the reverse gauge in these trailers, I think. So awakening, and then in the description right after he activates his Bankai it says, when Bankai Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi is released, Senbon Sakura no longer changes form and is in a fixed form that strengthens Byakuya's mid to long range techniques but weakens close combat. This technique is best used in a way that prevents opponents from getting too close. So of course this is perfect for when you want to maintain the distance and of course doing more damage, but it has its drawback. And of course you can see in the visuals like he knocks Ichigo back far and the petals have more range to them. And then we see a little cinematic where it says overturn the tide of battle, accept your fate, or accept your soul, sorry. And of course all these character trailers end up with a little description, and here's what Byakuya says. Byakuya Kuchiki, Squad 6, can fight at any distance due to Senbon Zakura's ability to change forms. So basically he can adapt to whatever the battle is showing. The only thing is in his Bankai, I think it has to be to a longer range tactic, but yeah. And that's pretty much it for Byakuya's gameplay trailer, but there was some more vital stuff that I wanted to cover. So if you weren't aware, IGN did an interview with the producer of the game, Bleach Rebirth of Souls, and his name is Katsuaki Suzuki. I might have butchered that pronunciation, I apologize to any Japanese viewers, yeah. And the stuff he said in this interview was very interesting and really made me like very optimistic for this game, and it's the stuff that I really wanted to hear, and it was great honesty too. And by the way, if you didn't hear about this interview, that's fine because I didn't hear about it either. It kind of went under the radar, which is crazy because I've been keeping up with this game. And there was a lot said in this interview. If I read out everything, it will be like I'm milking this for more view time. I'll be here for like 20 minutes, so don't worry, I'm not going to do that. But I'm just going to summarize some key points of what he said and what I thought about it. So the initial point of the interview was for the producer to talk about how this game will differentiate itself from other titles in the series, and what players can expect from its swordplay centric combat once it releases. And one thing straight off the bat which I really appreciate him being honest about and addressing is the fact that he mentions anime arenas, and I'll put this on screen now. Anime arenas have a track record of having a short shelf life in players' minds, in part because of their gameplay, which tends to lack depth. And I want to put emphasis on this because I talk about this a lot. Tends to lack depth beyond the bread and butter strategies that are sussed out within the honeymoon period of their release. So basically he's saying like the gameplay is way too simple in a lot of these 3D anime arena fighters, and it gets stale very fast, which is why like when the games initially come out, yeah, of course people are into it, and then it very quickly dies out. Whereas in more fleshed out and well made fighting games, I mean, I know Tekken is the most like basic, I don't know, it's not even a 3D arena fighter, but look how long that sticks with people, because people like the gameplay and there's layers to the combat and there's a real learning curve to it. And I mean, even in some of the 3D arena fighters, although a lot of them aren't perfect, look at Naruto Storm, like that really stuck with people, especially Storm 4, it lived for like 6 years. But yeah, Suzuki then goes on to say that Rebirth of Souls specifically will distinguish itself from the pack by incorporating the anime's intricate power systems into the DNA of its gameplay, resulting in an enthralling ebb and flow of mechanically rich battles. So basically, they want to utilize all the different aspects of combat in Bleach, hence why they've mentioned Reishi and Konpaku and all that stuff in the gameplay trailers, which a lot of people are talking about. I'm really glad that they're doing that. And they're talking about the different forms of combat, like we have Kidos, we have the reversals, the Shikais, the Bankais, all of that stuff, long range, close range, projectiles, everything. They're incorporating everything to make sure that the gameplay doesn't go stale. And of course we have counters, specials, all that stuff. And I'm very glad that he specifically put emphasis on saying that they want this to be its own thing that stands out from arena fighters. And I know I said I'm not going to read out the whole thing, and I won't, but I just want to read out this one quote from him. It's a direct quote. He says, "While developing the game as a fighting action game, we delved into details from Bleach like Reishi, Konpaku, spiritual power, and spiritual pressure. After looking into that, we were surprised by how the worldview had been created in detail and how well those features aligned with our game concept and the fighting action genre." So what he's saying is like, they went into detail with like all the different aspects of Bleach regarding the power system, mechanics, the combat, and it fit well with what they were trying to go for with this kind of gameplay. For example, the whole Konpaku system, it worked perfectly with Bleach lore, or I guess so, and obviously what they were going for with the whole like stock lives. Suzuki then said, for example, Konpaku, which represents the concept of the soul in Bleach, is constructed with Reishi. Drawing inspiration from that concept, we set Reishi as a health gauge in the game, and players can break the Konpaku to decrease Reishi, he added. We introduced systems that allow players to introduce reversals, such as breaking Konpaku with a single strike or enhancing power through transformations to facilitate breaks. So yeah, like I said, they utilized the transformations and the whole Reishi and Konpaku system for what they were going for with this game. And one little thing they said in this article was the combat in this game is like a pastiche Sekiro stagger swordplay. I had to Google that word. Apparently it's like an artistic thing of taking inspiration from another work. So in this case it says Sekiro stagger swordplay, and then it says Tekken 7's reversals and Smash Bros ultimate stock health bar system. Now this makes me happy because they found 3 great fighting games. I know Sekiro is not a fighting game, but they're talking about the combat swordplay. People say it has the best swordplay in any game. Tekken 7 is one of the best, most successful fighting games right now, and of course Smash Bros is Smash Bros. They've taken elements and inspiration from all 3 of those great games and incorporated it into Bleach, so I'm really glad that they're doing that. It shows that they're trying to be great because they're looking at great games instead of just being a copy and paste game. And remember, there's a difference between taking inspiration and being a copy and paste game. Of course, they're taking elements from those games. It says stock health bar system, wherein players win battles by destroying an opponent's 9 stocks or konpaku. Suzuki referred to established action games like the Naruto Storm games, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R, Tekken 7 and Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball FighterZ is the one that caught me off guard because that's more of a, you know, traditional fighting game. Although then again Tekken 7 is too, and I think JoJo too. So that's really cool that he's taking inspiration from those traditional fighting games and incorporating them into a 3D fighting game. And I'm going to skip a lot of what they said, but you know, I'll put some on screen. But he does talk about how he wants it to be a balanced shonen fighting game, although the biggest challenge in making this game was integrating major tenets of the anime's unique power systems. But while saying this, he also goes on to say you won't have to have some kind of encyclopedic knowledge of Bleach's power system to be able to have fun in this game and enjoy the gameplay. And I'm very glad that he's put emphasis on that, because a lot of people on Twitter were saying like people need to chill out and make sure that this game is accessible for non-Bleach fans too. Although I guess you don't want to have knowledge of Bleach, but you know, it's one of them games where you're gonna want to at least have basic knowledge of the series. You don't have to be an expert, of course. I wouldn't say I'm an expert either, although I've watched the whole show twice over and I'm starting the manga, but still. There are people that know the ins and outs of everything regarding Bleach, and you don't have to be that for this game. In fact, you don't even have to be caught up on Bleach to enjoy this game because they're stopping at the Aranka arc. Now real quick, I want to put huge emphasis on one big thing that he said. So you know how I said they want to make it balanced? Well, they went into details. So not too long ago, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's director, I believe his name is Futanori or something. Sorry, I probably got that completely wrong. He talked about how power scaling will be a thing in Sparking Zero, and you know, if you're using Yamcha against Jiren or something, of course you're going to struggle with Yamcha because power scaling is a thing. Whereas with Bleach Rebirth of Souls, the producer then goes on to say characters were designed to have an equal win rate with another, and the game concept revolves around reversal experience, and each character is really unique, especially their Zanpakuto, and each character has its own distinct features. And of course, like I mentioned in my last video, there's like different categories of characters. For example, he goes on to say some characters will excel in speed while others focus heavy on power, and some are great from a distance. And of course he talks about like how you can enhance powers through abilities and awakening and whatnot. And lastly, he talks about how Bleach has always noticeably been the zeitgeist in comparison to the rest of the big 3. It's really cool that he mentioned big 3 in this, and of course he's referring to Naruto and One Piece, because it's been 13 years, 2011, since the last Bleach game. Although it was a great game, it's 13 years old now. I believe it's Soul Resurrection. Of course he's talking about, if you don't include Jump Force, and what was the other one called, J-Stars. So it's really huge that we get a new Bleach game. And even that last Bleach game, it wasn't a 3D arena fighter. I believe he said that game was more like a Dynasty Warriors type game, if I'm not mistaken. Now once again, he said something that made me very, very happy and excited for this game. He specifically put emphasis, and I'm really glad he wasn't shy of saying this. He talks about the Naruto games and the One Piece games, but then he says regarding this upcoming Bleach Rebirth of Souls game, it will be an exception compared to other anime action games because the combat system is as complex as its beautifully rendered 3D models. Now this is exactly what us as fans wanted and needed to hear. And if you don't understand what this is saying, it's saying that he acknowledges the glaring issues of typical 3D anime arena fighters being basic and just copy and pasted and not poorly made, but you know, mediocre to say the least. And he's specifically like detailing how this is going to be a not complicated game, but a well layered game with a genuine learning curve. And you know, we wanted layers to the combat and mechanics, and they're emphasizing that that is exactly what we're gonna get, and I'm glad to hear that. Now, I've already yapped a lot, so I'm just gonna really summarize the last 2 or 3 things he said. He talks about how the other previous older Bleach games all had like great charms to them, and him and the team, they went on to play those games and really learn and truly understand like the core concepts of Bleach's mechanics, or you know, the power systems and whatnot, both from the games and I guess the show itself. And that's really good to hear, because you know, you always want the developers to understand what they're making. You know, it's about Bleach, so they need to understand Bleach, specifically the combat system and powers. And of course, they talked about how the visuals are of course great, and they utilize the technology of the PS5 and Series X. Although he doesn't talk about how it's on PS4, I was hoping he would like acknowledge that and talk about it, but I guess not. We'll see what happens with that. Maybe it will be downgraded, I don't know. And what was really interesting is that he didn't shy away from talking about how Bleach 1000 Year Blood War arc is currently like being released, whereas Rebirth of Souls will only release the first 2 story arcs, and I guess they're combining some of the mini arcs with them. So really what he means is the Soul Society arc, including the Substitute Soul Reaper arc, so all of that, and of course the entire Aranka arc, including the final Espada like versus Soul Reaper war, not just Hueco Mundo. So I'm pretty sure we'll end with Ichigo vs Aizen, like Mogetsu or whatever. But the fact that he's mentioning that, and by the way, he didn't mention Fullbringer arc, which is, you know, just typical. Honestly, it's a very underrated arc. I hope we get it in some form of this game, whether it's DLC or I guess a possible sequel. But what I was gonna say was, him talking about 1000 Year Blood War arc like by choice in this interview, is that suggesting possible DLC, or is he just acknowledging that it's a possibility, I guess, that they could do something with that? Who knows? Personally, I hope, well actually I don't know if I want a DLC or a sequel. I kind of want a DLC, although I hate DLCs. I kind of want this game to be like, I don't want them to release it knowing like, yeah, we're gonna milk this for a year or 2, then we're gonna abandon it and make a sequel instead of making all in one, you know? Just release it in like season packs. That would be okay, as long as it's not like part 1 1000 Year Blood War, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, Fullbringer part 1, part 2. I don't want that. But yeah, lastly he talks about this is the first Bleach game that Bandai as a company has introduced, which I did not know. That's kind of crazy. But I guess Bandai mostly did anime games in the 2010s and this decade. But yeah, I guess because of how long it's been since the last Bleach game, that's why they wanted to fully flesh out the first 2 arcs, knowing that it's been a long time since we saw them in gameplay format, I guess. And yeah, then he says fans can look forward to more updates on Rebirth of Souls, playable characters for the roster in the near future as the game inches to announcing its release date. So no release date yet, but we know we're going to keep getting these character trailers until we get a release date trailer. So that's cool. I'm pretty sure it will be in 2025, but we'll see. Then again, we don't know how many characters will be in this game, so who knows. But that's about it. And honestly, with everything we heard from that interview, and of course this Byakuya trailer as well, I forgot that's what this video was about, I'm really excited for everything we're hearing. And I know there's been some toxicity in the community lately, excitement as well as some toxicity. I know like the toxicity isn't the majority, but it's just like, it's just something that's talked about. I don't know what you want to call it, the outspoken minority or whatever. Honestly guys, I feel like this is just something we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate Bleach. We need to celebrate this game finally coming. Like, us Bleach fans deserve this. And I don't want to say gatekeeping, because I feel like that term has been thrown around so much on Twitter recently. And by the way, if you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you don't know, don't worry. Like, what's it called? Ignorance is bliss or something. You don't want to know. But I just feel like everyone's so sensitive lately, but at the same time everyone's so quick to be harsh and criticize people. I feel like people just need to communicate better and be more positive, you know. I know I sound like one of them pacifistic both sides kind of guys. I don't want to sound like that guy, but I just feel like arguing like online and shit, part of my language, it's just so unnecessary, you know. The community really needs to come together, because I really feel like we're entering the new, not golden age, the platinum age of anime games and the community in general. It feels like we're in 2016 to 2018 again. You know, we got Bleach, we got Sparking Zero, this Hunter x Hunter game. Hell, even Naruto Storm Connection is kind of improving, isn't it, with the updates and stuff? I don't know. I'm not a Naruto expert, so you guys let me know. But yeah, let's just be positive, guys. I'm excited for this game, and you should be too. And if you want to stay updated on this game, as well as Sparking Zero and other anime games, you should like and subscribe. I'm really going for 1,000 subs this year, especially by October. I don't know if that's too much to ask for, but hell, I'm gonna try it. I'm not gonna quit. So yeah, really, I would really appreciate it if you were to subscribe and like this video. And who knows, maybe if I become a big YouTuber one day, you can say you're an OG on my journey. Especially if you're in the first 1,000 subs, you know, that would be cool. But yeah, I've been your boy Kaizen. Like, subscribe, do follow my Twitter in the description below. I do yap a lot on there about stuff that I wouldn't talk about here, and also I do want to start streaming soon, so follow my Twitch, and occasionally I might start streaming on YouTube, but not too much because I don't want to spam. So that's why you should follow my Twitch and my Twitter. I'll keep you updated on there for everything regarding me. And yeah, check out my videos on screen now. I think you'll like them, Sparking Zero and Bleach. And I've been your boy Kaizen, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.